Hello, everyone. Very happy to be here with you today. I will begin first by introduction. So please, Carine, if you want to introduce yourself to the audience.
Hi, I'm Carine de Boissezon. I'm the Chief Impact Officer of EDF, which is not the Environmental Defense Fund. So I hope you're still happy with me to be here, right? It's Électricité de France, so the French electricity company.
Thank you, Carine. Sophie?
Hello, I'm Sophie Bonnier. I'm head of international partnerships at Orange.
Hi, I'm Brune Poirson, and I'm in charge of sustainability for Accor.
Kevin?
Hello, I'm Kevin Tayebaly, one of the founders of ChangeNOW. I hope that you're all having a great time.
Yeah!
Yes? Thanks. Thanks.
Thank you, Kevin. So you know that we are here to accelerate the transformation of sport into a force for good. This is what we are doing also at 70 Sport. I want to share with you a few insights about the sport industry, few interesting and impactful insights. As you may know, we are in an emergency crisis. In 2019, the Rugby World Cup in Japan have been impacted and disrupted by storm. In 2019, extreme heat strokes athletes at the World Athletics Championship in Qatar. 2020, Australian Open players are affected by bushfire smoke, etc., etc., etc. There are some sport initiatives. The French Ministry of Sport has published les 15 engagements éco-responsables. There is also some pledge. The UNFCCC has also published some pledge around the climate framework. But I think that it's not enough. Why? Who is really speaking about the new IPCC report within the sport industry? Who is speaking about the 9 ecosystemic planet boundaries? Who is speaking about SBT initiative? Who is implementing a sincere and transformative strategy, purpose-driven strategy within his organization? Which sport organization is now decarbonizing its activation? Worse, the New Weather Institute reports and reveals that more than 250 deals has been done between high-carbon partners organizations and sports organizations. Worse, we have a lot of organizations and companies that are now withdrawing from the UNFCCC framework because there is too much constraint. So regardless of that, we have working very carefully during a few months with the ChangeNOW team to work on a dedicated and specific initiative that we will share. And so I will let Kevin begin first to give us a little bit context about what we have done.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, François. So, first of all, I want to thank Carine, Sophie, and Brune for being here and committing and following us and trusting us on this one, because it's an important day. Last year, we launched the Sport for Change initiative with Paris 2024. And the goal of this initiative was to do two things. One is to use the sport influence to accelerate the environmental and social transition, because sport can really, it has this power to influence, and positively. And I think the second thing that we wanted to do was also to help the sport industry, match the level of and feel the urgency that we're feeling today, and become also a little bit more responsible, because we can see that there are still some behaviors that could be challenged. And the ambition of the Paris 2024 Olympics, it's really to reduce emissions by 50%, 50, as compared to the previous editions, which is a very big commitment. And it's a very big signal that is sent out to the industry. We wanted to use this example, and that's why we launched this program. Now, last winter, sent messages that were a bit different. We saw the Football World Cup, which hit a record high level of emissions. We saw a lot of backlash, people talking about boycotting. We saw the bid that was won by the Asian Games by Saudi Arabia, and so we'll have Winter Games in Saudi Arabia in 2030, when we question the fact that we will be able to ski in the Alps by then. So a lot of really cognitive dissonance kind of picked to me, and when we spoke about it with Fabien Paget from 17 Sport, we wondered, what can we do concretely, because boycott is not a solution. It can send a signal, but it's not enough. We need to find a way to change the system. And when you look at behavioral science, we know this very well at ChangeNOW. The two main levers of influence to drive change, it's A, social pressure, and 2, financial incentives. We know this because we've done it in the education system 2 years ago when we launched the first ranking of the best schools to change the world. And by doing that, by making sure that we would compare schools not on new criteria, we touched on their attractivity and hence on their business model. And this had a lot of influence. So the question was, how do we use the same model for the sport industry? How do we apply that? And the levers in the sport industry, if you want to shift mindset, if you want to play with the financial capability, you need to work with the sponsors. Who are the sponsors? Large companies, like today, like Accor, Orange, EDF, Sodexo Life. And they are themselves, they've been engaged in this path of carbon reduction for many years because they are the first to be scrutinized. And they are here to lead and to show the example as well, so that a lot of companies as well follow their example. Today, if you take SMEs, 75% of SMEs in the world do not measure their emissions. So there is this, issue of raising awareness so that there's more and more people that commit to reducing their emissions. So we can use the example of those large companies to influence the world, the business world, and here in particular the sports world. And that was the idea with the sports sponsors climate pledge, which is to say tomorrow, like in finance, because if you look at ESG finance today and tomorrow, the best behaviors will be those who have more access to finance. While in the sports, it's going to be the same with this pledge, which is to say, I'm going to drive capital and financial support towards the best practices, the people that are actually doing things better than the others on environmental, and specifically, to start with, on climate issues. So these companies have accepted to say that 3 things. So what they're going to sign today is very important, 3 things. A, they're going to work with their partners, and they work with a lot of very important stakeholders in the sport industry, to ensure that by 2025, these partners will be able to measure their emissions and to set objectives of carbon reduction in the future that are Paris aligned, because we need to make sure that the Paris Agreement stays alive as much as possible, as long as possible. That's very important. 2, they will help them with a series of tools so that they have the right material and the right literature to make sure that they know how to do it, and we'll be here to help them. And 3, by 2025, they commit to condition all their sponsoring to the carbon performance that is Paris aligned by the sport organization. So that's a game changer in the sport industry.
Thank you, Kevin. Carine, you were the first organization to say yes, I want to join you on this initiative, so thank you for that. I know that it's not so easy to be the first and to take the risk. Can you tell us a little bit more first about the EDF commitment on sustainability, and then why you have joined this pledge?
Well, we are very happy to be the first and to have so many companies joining. And you see 3 women taking the risk, okay? But joking apart, so I feel I'm very lucky because the impact division within EDF lies within a bigger department which has strategy and innovation. And I think this is very critical that the sustainability commitment that are not out in thin air. They are related to the business. They are really deep into the organization, and they drive innovation, not just technical, but social innovation as well. And I think this is really what makes our engagement credible. That's anyway what I'm hoping every day. So what is our sustainability engagement? It's about planet boundaries that you mentioned, and also just transition. We cannot do the climate discussion without the social impact. So this is really what is driving us today. we have a lot of responsibility as EDF because I don't think it's well known, but we are the largest producer of electricity in the world without direct CO2 emission. So our success is the success of the decarbonization of the rest of the economy. So we have a lot of pressure to be there, but being a big producer means we have impact. And so we also have to reduce our emission ourselves, right? So the SBTi network or all the science-based initiative, they really are, I would say, the most important thing that everybody needs to follow, because it's easy to say, I'm the best, I'm the leader, but someone has to really challenge what it means, because we already know that a lot of the commitments that have been taken for 2050 are a little bit in thin air today. So we have to have short-term, medium-term, and long-term plan. And I think the pledge is here for us to help all these companies that we will be working on to have this short-term, medium-term, and long-term plan. So that's where we will be there for them. And of course, we have also to work on our own trajectory with them.
Thank you very much, Carine. Sophie, we know that Orange is also a sponsor of a lot of sports industry and very involved in the sport ecosystem. Why also did you decide to sign the pledge? What was your strategy behind that?
Yeah, as you said, we are a very large sponsor in sports. We are a partner of the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. We are a partner of the Rugby World Cup as well, and of the African Cup of Nations in Africa. This is, for us, those sponsorships are a way of embodying our commitments. And at Orange, we are very strong commitments around first digital inclusion and of course climate action. So we are using those partnerships to embody our commitments and our strategy in that topic. So for us, it was an evidence to sign this pledge.
Thank you, Sophie. Brune, last year we had Sébastien Bazin on stage with us. Very inspiring conference. I also see that you are launching the Earth is for Earth movement, so you are quite involved in sustainability more and more, and it's part and parcel of your strategy, your business strategy. Can you also tell us more about your involvement on this pledge and why did you decide to sign it?
Thank you. We decided for us, I'm going to be super blunt. It's time we signed it. So I'm really, really thankful for all of you to actually really taking the lead on this. Very also grateful that we can work as a coalition, because I think that's how you put pressure to sports companies and even to sportsmen. We are a huge player in the sport industry. We almost support, most of the sports that make people be proud and happy and want to join sort of a movement. We also use it, so we sponsor, for example, sailing, rugby, football, and a lot of others. Tennis, I'm not going to list everything because it's huge. We're also very huge elsewhere outside of France, in Australia, for example, in places like this. So we have a huge responsibility also because we use sports as a way of making our clients even more loyal to our brands and to who we are. So for us, it's really a matter of consistency. It was so much of a contradiction that we kept sponsoring and supporting sports without actually putting pressure on them to change. I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying we can do that together, we can challenge each other, and clearly this is our responsibility, this is our role. Not only will it make our employees proud, but I think it will help us be even more attractive as a brand for some of our most loyal customers. So we're very happy, very pleased. If I may, please, let's meet in 1 year here and ask us, where do you stand, guys? Kevin, I count on you. You ask the three of us, and you ask us whether you've really made progress on that, because signing a pledge is great, implementing it is even better. And hopefully, in 3 years' time, we'll have the PSG and all those guys here as well, telling us about how they moved away from char à voile.
We can applaud that. And
hopefully before 3 years.
Yeah. And
maybe next year.
Yeah, and next year we will not be 3, but we will be 15 or 20 sponsors. I'm quite confident on that.
And not in 3 years, but next year. You're right.
Exactly, next year. So at 70 Sport, we exist to accelerate the transformation of sport into a force for good, like just ChangeNOW. it's a level of business right now. We have to do that for the business model of the organization. Kevin, maybe can you tell us also what could be the impact that this pledge can have in terms of business for the sponsors? What are the strategy behind that as a pledge as a lever of acceleration of the transformation?
I mean, I think there's quite a few messages that we're sending with this initiative, right? I mean, first of all, we're saying that the only companies that can sign this pledge need to be Paris aligned. And we know that there is quite a few companies that would be willing to sign it, but it's a matter of coherence. If you're not Paris aligned, and you can't be telling others to be Paris aligned. So first, we're sending a message, and that's what we did last year. 3 months ago, when we announced that from 2024 onwards, our official partners will need to be Paris aligned, and that's a big commitment as well from ChangeNOW. We're cutting ourselves from quite a big chunk of money, but. So it's about sending a signals as well to the large companies that need to move on that angle. Two, it's about also, it's a spillover effect as well on the smaller organizations as well, because if we all work on this together, then I think it's going to influence as well SMEs and they will, I hope, start thinking that every single company, every single organization has a role. And we are all emitting in a way or the other, and we can all make some efforts and some progress. So it's not to finger point, but it's just to say we all have a role to play. And we are not going to be able to reach our goals if we're not all part of the solution. That's the reason why at ChangeNOW you're going to find all sorts of profiles: artists, athletes, monks, indigenous tribes, kids, families, corporates, media, investors, all profiles. We need everyone. And that's the message we're sending with this pledge. We need you guys. We need everyone on board. And not just the sport industry. The level of sport is huge on the rest of the industry. Everybody watches sport. So if they start making a move, imagine a Coupe de France next year. A Coupe de France, which is played by all the amateur clubs, all the professional clubs. If they start announcing that they are Paris aligned, the impact is huge. So that's really what we're trying to achieve. And I'm hopeful that next year when we meet again, it's not 4 companies, because there's also Sodexo Live, I need to mention it. We're signing, it's maybe 50. And it's not 25 or 30 supporters, but maybe 500 supporters in this initiative. So that's what I can hope for us here, what I can hope for this coalition. And I think it's just the beginning of the journey, and I'm very excited about this.
Thank you, Kevin. Carine, you are Chief Impact Officer, and you were speaking about fighting again the triangle of climate in action, and try also to impact your suppliers, your partners. Can you maybe tell us a little bit more about that? Why this pledge could also help you with your EDF ecosystem?
I think, like many companies, 80% of our carbon footprint is in the indirect emissions. So not the one that we produce through our power station, but through the value chain, through the product that we sell to our clients. So that means it's basically in all the supply chain, right? So if we don't use it to count the CO2, by the way, right? Because my indirect emission are the direct emission of someone else. So if we work together, then we can solve the issue, because it's a strategic issue. So the pledge for me is exactly what we are trying to achieve over the last couple of years, is not looking just at ourselves. We have to really be inclusive, because, as Kevin mentioned, there is a lot of small companies. They don't even know what is their carbon footprint. And to be honest, when you look, it's already, by law, you have to do it, but nobody does it, really, and there's no sanction, right? So it cannot be just a name and shame or fines when you're bad. You have to actually make it a win-win deal. So, for example, we're trying to do that with our partners generally, is to give them an incentive. You mentioned social and financial. So this is exactly what we are doing already with our suppliers, to give them more money if they act for good, because they have to have an incentive. The problem today is that the economy of bad is more profitable than the economy of good, right? So we have to change the way we count things. And this is a very big change in paradigm. We are not there yet, right? But I think what we are facing today with water, I think water is a good example. We are the sponsor of Swimming and Canoeing Federation. These guys, this is a license to operate for their sports, right, if there's no water. So for us, we also operate water dams. So there's so many commonalities in the threat of not succeeding that we all want to succeed. We all want to win. So I think this is really what we will be trying to do, is not naming and shaming, not fines, is good, more money, more incentives.
Thank you very much, Carine. We work, you know, in our organization to try to implement what we call purpose-driven strategy, to try to embark everyone. We are doing that with Adidas and other partners at 70 Sport. We try to embark everyone, the partners, the ecosystem, the talents, the people. Sophie, do you think that this pledge could also help you to embark everyone in your organization, from the partners, from the sports organization that you are sponsoring, to even your people internally?
Yes, I think it's a very good example of what we can use to embark everyone in the same direction, and it's how we want to use this pledge with our partners, of course. And at Orange, we have also a role, as Carine said, we're in the same, we have the same way of doing things. We want to have people, to help people be more sustainable. So it comes to our customers, but also to our partners. And this pledge is a way of embarking as well all our employees in that action.
Thank you, Sophie. For you, Brune, we have a question quite interesting. What's your secret recipe to embark all the Accor ecosystem in such a short time? Because we know that in this big international organization, sometimes it takes time to convince everything, and even the top management and the CEO.
2 weeks.
How do you do?
2 weeks.
How do you do? 2 hours, we can say. How did you do what is the recipe to do that?
I think, first of all, I think most employees at Accor are really committed to changing things. Last year, we launched a massive training program. It was a 6-hour training program that everybody had to go through. And I think it really, really helped, because instead of discussing whether it's real or not real, what we should believe in or not, I think everybody shares the same sort of conclusion and vision. And that really helps. Then we can make rapid and concrete decisions. And that's what we managed to do. We get the support directly from our CEO is super supportive, and I think that's how we manage to move forward fast. But I think what matters also, and I hope next time we meet we can do that together, it's really what I would love to do is to see sportsmen actually saying, question the clubs that they will join or not, and maybe one day choose no longer to join that particular club because it's not sports club, because it's not committed enough. I think first that's this. And I think the second thing that we should all push for is really changing the way we measure performance. In sports, sometimes we do crazy things that are terribly bad for the environment just to win by half a second. This is insane. Even if you look at the sailing industry, so many resources and energy is put into building boats and ships that go always faster. It's great, it's wonderful, but if it comes at the cost of the environment, I think it makes it irrelevant. And so all of us, maybe what we can try and do as big sponsors is also change the way we measure performance in the sports industry. We know it's a huge cultural change, but we know we can do that. And at least we have the power as big sponsors to do that. We have the platform here with ChangeNOW. We have the day-to-day actor that is pushing for that, and so I think this is where we can start. France is a huge sports nation. We really have everything we can to change the rules of the game, and we have behind us amazing organizations with amazing employees who really want to be proud of the type of organizations that we sponsor. So the time is right. Let's do that.
You can applaud them. Thank you for that. Kevin, we are not speaking about the fourth signatories, Sodexo Live. Sodexo Live also want to use this pledge as an internal tool to make awareness around sustainability at an international level. Can you maybe tell us a little bit more about this?
Yeah, it's actually very interesting. When we spoke with Sodexo Live, the reason why they decided to join It's because their activities are, I think 60% of their activities are in the States. And they told us that they wanted to use this as a lever of influence to raise awareness on the topic because they are very far from it in the US. And I thought that was very interesting to hear that comment. She said, I'm going to take this, the pledge, and I'm going to go and look at all the organizations that we're sponsoring at the moment or we're partnering with in Formula One and in many sports, basketball and the others. And I'm going to show them that this is what's happening in Europe right now, so you guys need to do the same.
Thank you.
So pretty interesting.
Yeah. So I think that we are quite short on time. Maybe a last question for you, Carine. Are you optimistic in the future for the sport industry, for the sport ecosystem? What is your point of view as a last word?
Yeah, I am optimistic because, as Brune said, there is a lot of push internally as well. We are 167,000 employees, right? So we can make a change as well through our employees. At EDF, we also have a team of sports people, 34 of them, right? Male and female. Some of them are employees of EDF. They represent 28 Olympic medals, and 15 of them are Paralympic sports people. So I think what I really like as well, what makes me optimistic, is that with sports, you link social and environmental. And I think this is, again, coming back to planet boundaries and just transition, sports is really good for positive narrative, collective narrative. And we need that. If it's just about, don't do this, it's bad, we won't get people motivated. We need collective positive narrative. And I'm very optimistic that sport can give us that.
Thank you, Carine. Sophie, same question. Are you optimistic for the future of the sports industry? The Orange also partnering with impact organization, impact sports organization?
Yes, of course, I'm optimistic.
We have to.
We have to.
That's great.
And I'm very optimistic.
Yeah. Thank you. And Brune, do you think that you can help with your commitment, maybe also the PSG to accelerate on its transformation? The famous Charawal will not happen anymore. No more Mbappé. You will also make brand awareness to Mbappé thanks to your commitment. Is it something that you are quite positive on it?
I want to be positive on that.
Yeah.
We want to be positive on that, but I think we should ask them the question directly. You know, it would be great if next time we really ask the guys who actually play soccer and football. I hope they are. I think they have a huge responsibility. And the only thing I would be really careful of and about would be just to make sure that by insisting on the environment and sports, we don't put people away from accessing sports. So we have to find a way of supporting the smaller clubs and everything. That's on the one hand. And on the other hand, I think we need to be really radical and very demanding, and I'm talking obviously about us as a company, on the big organizations and sports clubs, like the PSG, for example, that are leading the way, that everybody listens to and hears.
Yeah. This is for this reason that we speak about purpose, to integrate sustainability and people in the same purposeful strategy, to have the commitment of all the departments of an organization, not working in silos, because we have the case sometimes, sponsorship are not talking to sustainability, etc., to have everyone on board, and it's the mission we have in common between ChangeNOW and 17 Sports. So thank you very much. You can applaud this commitment. Thank you. And we will sign the pledge right now. So please, can you stand up with me and let's sign it. Up. So please, if you want, can I make you sign? Thank you. You can applaud EDF for this commitment.
Bravo.
Same for you, Sophie, please, if you want to sign here. Thank you, Sophie. Thank you, Orange. You can also applaud Orange. Amazing, well done. Brune for Accor. Sorry, up. And do we have the... Sorry. Did you sign? Yeah, perfect. We can applaud Accor also. Thank you. Thank you, Brune. It's not just a commitment. So please, if you can come with me for the photo, Fabien from 70 Sport. Neil, if you want to join. Venez. So you can upload Neil and Fabien from 70 Sport with us on stage. Thank you very much. It's just the beginning. Thank you all.